So that was the story of Wesley Kessel. I mean, interesting guy, fine guy too.
Well, yeah.
The guy like Shadawa.
I have a date with him. He cooks as well.
Yeah.
So I'm looking
And now
forward
he's
to
going to
taking
be
something.
helping you push yours as well. I mean, I am afraid of the TikTok thing. I've already told you. Me, I'm not coming there. So
Well,
you people should
well.
enjoy that space.
Well, we are not afraid of anything, you know. If we fall, we will rise. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah, so we will do it. The most terrible
Yeah.
thing people can do is the video is not nice, give a few
Yeah.
bad vibes here and there. But tomorrow you post something nicer, and then that's how the world is. Don't worry. But now let's go talk to the man who I can say that started all this when we didn't even have so much understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest for tonight is the amazing Ameyaw Debrah. Mr. Debrah.
I mean, he's one of the few guys who can actually make a tall guy look short.
Can you imagine? What's your height?
Just around 6'5", 6.5 feet.
So
You're so
imagine
tall.
myself and Lourdes in front of him during the EAA, and we're interviewing Ameyaw.
No, you also be better, but Lourdes, I mean, that would be disastrous.
We are sitting, so yeah, my brain cup.
You're on the same level.
My brain cup.
But how you doing? You look good.
Thanks.
Yeah. And don't forget that Ameyaw is an EAA academic member
Exactly,
as well,
yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
we'll talk a bit about
About
EAA
that
as
too.
well.
Good.
That
Solid
difficult
guy.
job. Yeah. But you've done awesome for yourself. Hey, how is Madame and how is Nathan?
They're both doing quite well. Yeah.
Right. How does it feel
No,
like being a
for those
daddy?
of us who don't know Nathan, I mean, come on.
Okay.
Give us the juice.
Nathan is my son. Yes.
When did he come? How old is he?
Oh, he's gonna be 5 in November. So
Okay.
he's growing and being very troublesome. I
Is
think
it only Nathan? There's another
at the
one?
moment there's only Nathan.
Hey, oh, chill.
Okay, so
Mache. Yes, Mache.
I'll be modest.
should I ask how he came?
Through magic.
Well, magic happened
Magic
in the
of
bedroom.
technology.
Magic happened in the bedroom.
But how is it like, being a father and he's growing it too?
Yes, it's amazing. I think also in my peculiar circumstances, because you're not always there together,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
each time I visit them or they visit, it's something new.
Oh, they don't live in Ghana?
No.
Oh, wow.
So it's
So where are
always they're in the US.
I like that.
Okay,
So
great.
it's always nice to
Yeah.
have those moments.
Yeah.
And then it gets to a point where the trouble is just too much, you're like enough. But you can never really want anything else than being part of the life of it.
But why are they in the States anyway? Why are you not living with them? Why are they not living here with you?
Well, currently it's because of the nature of my wife's work. The sad thing is, even she's not even with him most of the time.
What does she
because
do?
She's in the Navy. So
Oh,
she's
okay.
she's in the
her? Charlie.
she's in a different state. My son's in a different state, and I'm also in Ghana. So it's an interesting combination. But I mean, that's what we have to deal with at this
Yeah.
stage.
But so your son is with who exactly? In
My
the
mother-in-law.
States? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Wow. No, I like this arrangement.
Charlie,
It's an interesting arrangement.
Quite.
Well, it allows for everybody to do their work
Yeah,
and
their
also
work, yeah.
when the time is right, spend time
become-
with each other.
yeah,
Awesome.
But
awesome,
let's look at who you are. When you started AmeyawDebrah.com, it sounded a bit weird. We didn't even
Yeah.
understand
I
what is
know.
this guy trying to do. We had all these big, online platforms.
Yeah.
And none really did had their names on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought
And
that
then
was
from nowhere, an
bold,
AmeyawDebrah.com.
very
Came through.
ambitious.
Yeah.
Who are you? We will come to
To that.
how you got to where you are. To make that huge step. But who is AmeyawDebrah? Growing up, you look like a Dada B.
Yeah, let's talk about formative years and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm a very simple person. I come from a family of 4 children, and for a very long time, it was me and my older brother because when we were born, my parents went to the UK, and so while they were there working, there was that long gap, and so it was me and my older brother until they came back, and then other ones joined us. I come from Obomin, Kwew, so I'm
Oh,
Kwew.
okay. That's how you know how to make money.
Yes, I went to most of my elementary and JSS was done at Engelbert, and then
Okay.
from there I went to Adisado College, and then from Adisado I went to KNUST, and then from KNUST that's when I got the opportunity to do my national service reservation, and that led me more to what I'm doing now.
Right.
Right. No, you look like a KNUST
Exactly.
graduate.
Yeah. Ovation by choice because it's a private sector
Yeah,
company.
so the interesting thing was I won an award back in tech as best publishing student, and that was sponsored by Ovation.
Oh, great.
So they gave me the opportunity to do my national service if I wanted to.
Right.
But I waited, I was like, oh, let me see where they'll post me.
Yeah.
And then when they posted me, it wasn't so exciting.
Where did they post you?
They posted me to the National Service Secretariat in Tema.
That's cool.
No, but I wanted to, in terms of industry, what I've learned, I wanted to tie it in. So when that posting came, I was like, why don't I go to the people who said they would want to work with me? So we did the changes, and I did a service with them, and the rest is history.
But tell us a bit more. How was it like working with them, fresh from school? And
I mean, it was a lot of learning. It was the first time that I had to write and be accepted by an editor, and then it get published. So it was interesting, but what was exciting was they never really turned out any of my stories. And, you know, we were working, it's a Pan-African company. Nigerian writers are there, but every time I wrote, they sort of published it. So it gave me that sort of zeal that I was onto something. They liked my style of writing, perhaps. And so it was an interesting stay over there. After the service period, I stayed on for some few months, and then I had the opportunity to now branch off. A project came from Voices of Africa, which was based in the Netherlands, which has now sort of transformed to become Africa News. So what they did was they gave us mobile phones across Africa. Young journalists, they give you a mobile phone, and without mobile phone, you create video content, you shoot and edit everything on the phone, and then we're calling it mobile journalism. So that's when that also started. And it got to a point...
What year was this, sorry?
This was in 2008.
Right.
It got to a point where there was then an annual summit in South Africa called Highway Africa. So they invited us to go and speak about our project. So I went to South Africa, the Rhodes University, to go and speak around what we were doing. And that was pretty much the time where blogging was becoming a big thing globally. So they had brought people from all over the world to share experiences. So when I was like, I'm already doing something like this. So when I got back to Ghana, that's when I was like, Charlie, let me call myself a blogger, let me own it. And fortunately, just after around that time, I also launched Ameyaw, Debrah.com. Like you're saying, rightfully so, it was quite strange that I would use my own name. But it came as a joke, because I was then contributing also to Ghana Celebrities. So the owner was like, let's create your own website. And we just joked about it and said, around that time, Paris Hilton, even though it wasn't his real name, but it sounded like a personality. So I was like, well, let's just go with it. So jokingly, he created it. And once the domain was up, it was just left for me to make it active throughout, and it's grown from one thing to another till where we are today.
So when you set up Debrah.com, when you launched it, you know, what did you have in mind? I mean, what were you looking at from the get-go? You had a certain picture of where you want it to go. What was that?
So the Debrah.com itself didn't come out of the blue, because I was already doing that. I had a Blogspot account. So when I was doing it back then, it was, I mean, growing up, I consume content from all over the world, but I also consume local content. And my idea was, anytime I got a chance to produce content, it's going to be a mix of all these experiences. So telling local stories with a standard that could sit easily on any international platform. So that was the interest. And when I started also, there wasn't so much around celebrity culture. So I wanted to create a blog that was around celebrity culture and be like the first thing in Ghana. And when it started, it was a novelty. Around that time, social media wasn't a big thing, and so even all the celebrities needed you. So you had access, and you could get these exclusives and put it out there. But of course, now things have changed. The social media, so everybody's telling their own stories, and people are picking up from there. So that was the mindset when I was doing it.
Who was the first celeb you blogged about?
Will I even remember? I think to probably even be somebody who's outside, because before the time I got to the point of doing my own thing, I was contributing to a lot of Pan-African. So one of my favorites was interviewing Adebantu, who is a Nigerian sort of Afro back in the days. I did a very good interview for Jamati.com, and I absolutely loved it. But I think when it comes to my first celebrity interview, probably was Samini or Komna Komna. That was for Ovation, and I sort of held on to those relationships from there until I started doing my own thing. Yes, it's been interesting. I mean, one of my other favorite interviews would be Amber Rose, not because of what it did for me.
Yeah.
Because when she came to Ghana,
I remember that.
she took pictures with some poor kids and everybody was attacking her. And then when I had the opportunity to interview her, I asked her about that.
Picture,
and her answers were very sort of interesting. And this interview was carried on by all the major websites and blogs around the world. So it made me feel like, Charlie, in my own corner, I'm able to do this. And it traveled all over the world. So that's one of my highlights as well.
But is it okay to describe you as a celebrity blogger? You know, because now when we mention your name, it's not just a certain blogger somewhere, you know. I mean, for you to even be sitting here means that you've done something extra. Are we good to call you so?
Yeah, so for me, I think in my bio, in the early stages, I would put in there that it wasn't that I'm a blogger that was a celebrity, but I was a blogger that was writing about celebrities. And so when I started, I was using a lot of that tag, and that was more what I was doing. But as I traveled along the lines, I added more lifestyle components to it as well. For me, strategically, it also meant that it became an avenue for me to make revenue outside the celebrity content, because the celebrity content, the way I was doing it and the way I'm still doing it, might not bring me that kind of money. So there's always these little areas that I fall on to actually make more sensible money.
You know, money is good. Money is good. So we also want to know how to make money. So what are some of these areas that you felt could help you make money? You know?
Great. So I mean, for instance, it was gathering the audience and monetizing that audience. So it was giving reasons to brands that, yes, I have this following, and I could turn it beyond just talking about people to actually conveying your messages and reaching these kinds of numbers. So currently, I make revenue through social media influencing. I make revenue through adverts on my website. I make revenue through a little from YouTube coming in, and then I also make a lot of money from content marketing on my website. So a lot of, so for instance, one of the stories that's doing very well this week on my story on my website is about, I asked whether I should buy a car for my staff. That is content that somebody has paid me, and I have to write and then put some links in there so that when people are looking for how to do ABCD, they click and then it's some sort of advertising. So I've been doing a lot of those also, and that's how I spread my revenue across.
Nice. You remember your first money gig, like the first commercial blog you did or commercial story you
did?
The
first sort of partnership I did would probably go back to Vodafone. So I think they became the first real commercial entity to engage me. I think when they were launching their singing competition, Vodafone Icons. So they got me to do like a weekly sort of review of performances and things like that.
They approached or you?
They approached. I mean, I think I haven't done well in terms of marketing. Mine is to do the job, let people have access to me, so when they need me, they will, I don't go out looking.
But why though? Is it a personal decision?
So I think I'm not that good at selling myself, but I think sometimes once the work speaks for itself, everybody else will see it.
And I think that you've succeeded in that aspect, because you are not in our faces like that, but when people want credibility,
they know where to go.
They will come to you.
So it's been part of the strategy, and I think it's worked pretty well.
Nice.
But let's look at the blogging space, social media, the internet today. When you started, this was around 2000 and
2007, 2008.
Right. So let's say 2008. Over time, how would you describe the evolution? Is this what you were looking at? Did you think it was going to be better? Did you think it was going to be a situation where everybody can just pick a certain crack phone, say anything and put it out there as I'm the blogger?
Well, like you said, there's been a lot of changes in terms of how it's done and even the medium, the platforms with which people are using. So it's all been part of the evolution. And I knew it would change, but I didn't know to what extent. And instead, I still don't know how it's
Where it's
changing
going,
and
yeah.
where it's going to. And with it has come a lot of challenges. Of course, I think in part, it's part of life. When there's that pluralism in things, that's when also the negative gets more amplified. And I think we've gotten to a point where there's more audience for certain kinds of content.
Trashy content.
You don't want to use the word, but it's fine.
And sometimes even on Facebook, I do something. I write a story, which is human-based or whatever, and somebody can come and leave a comment and say, on Crawford Church, and
so I actually enjoy your comment section on Facebook.
And I like the fact that you also sometimes repost some on Facebook. Sometimes like, no, why is Ameyaw posting these?
So it's interesting. It's a chicken and egg thing. Which one comes first? Is it what the people want, or really what you as a publisher you want to do? Because let's not also forget, it's a commercial thing, and it's also, you don't want to spend time writing and then nobody is reading.
Exactly.
Like for instance, I gave an example about the car I wrote. I enjoyed it when I go and it's amongst the most read, because I spent time, even though I've been paid for, I spent time putting it together, and when people engage with that content, I like it. But it's true. Where we are, there's more appetite for sensational stuff, and that's why fake news is growing, because everybody wants to know the oddest thing about the next person. So that's where we are.
But how does that make your work difficult, especially with the upsurge in fake news?
Well, so I think ours is to live above board and be that example and say, hey, I mean, I do get it, because most of the time, before I even see news items circulating, people are in my DM showing me, is this true? And looking for some sort of confirmation for it. So I think ours is to do right and do ours, so that people will always, and we are not missing from the conversation. We are quite loud on Twitter, Facebook, and so we are also putting ours there, and people get to see our side also. So we are not leaving it to those who are just doing theirs to say, hey, this space belongs to you, and there's room for all of us. And I think those who want the kind of content we are doing, they know where to go for it. And if you want the other things too, you know where to go for it.
You know, talking about people doing the right thing and people knowing where to go for what they want, I think that this is what earned you a seat, you know, on the EAA Academy team, you know, and I think that you did an amazing job, because the EAAs, you know, we're also looking at a lot of stuff from social media, from the internet, online stuff and all. Share a bit of that journey, because you have been an Academy member for all two seasons.
I mean, it's been amazing. The first one, I mean, the way we launched it, we had to go to Kumasi to launch it. So it was very exciting. It was a time it was coming. So there was a lot of excitement around it. And then the second one, we've already launched it. So now we have to keep up and even make it better. And I feel the second one was also more competitive. And it made our job even more difficult. I remember because we also had to do most of the meetings via Zoom and all of things. We went back and forth. Today we agree on something, the next time we are changing it. So I mean, I think it also reflected the space we find ourselves in. And by and large, there's a lot of amazing things happening. It's important to put spotlight on the very popular ones, but even more important, we also have to put spotlight on the ones that are great but might not get that attention. And I think that's what the award does, combining the very popular categories with not so popular. And even when it comes to the main event, those who get to perform. There were a lot of people I was seeing perform for the very first time, and I was out by the content, the lyrical content they were putting on stage, and even the crafts that they put on. It was amazing. I think I want to say kudos to you and the team for keeping the fire going.
Yeah. Right. And thank you too, because you know there were some times that meetings would drag into the night, you know, and would even call
and the sad thing was sometimes some people were having a physical meeting, there was food. And those of
us, you guys are online and
there's nothing, and they're eating in our face.
Because you are supposed to, no, because you're supposed to be there. You know, you're supposed to be there. You couldn't be there, so we had to do the eating, you know, and the extra job for you. I mean, that food was good, you know.
Wow. But sure, I just want to find out about now the platforms you run. You have the ameyawdebrah.com. You have Ameyaw Debrah TV.
Ameyaw TV, yeah.
Right. What's the relationship with Yen?
Yen. So I started Yen.
Okay.
Just like Paul's. So they are multinationals. They just got me to set it up. But I was a lot more involved in Yen because they had no presence, or like Real Gear that existed before I went there. So after Paul's, I went to Yen, set it up, worked with them for almost 3 years. And then from there, I said, let me come back and do myself again. That's when I launched Ameyaw TV.
Right.
Ameyaw TV is more video content, and even that too, you have to create that what is ours. So if you see the content we create, it's quite different from what everybody else is creating. It's been a journey for Ameyaw TV because in the beginning I was like, I'm investing so much. I've had a team for the first time. Me myself, I was hiring and working with people, and you're spending so much on equipment, setting up, and you're not getting the revenues back, the returns, and you get worried. And we've gone through that phase to where now at least we are making some sensible money, and we are happy people are understanding what we want to create in terms of the video elements to what we are doing. So it's exciting. Looking forward to see what that grows to become. And I think we are about 4 years, just like City TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sure you've also gone through your journeys.
Of course, it doesn't come easy.
It's been exciting.
You have been, you know, there are certain people who, when they speak on certain issues, you take them seriously.
Yeah.
You have been there from the start. You've just mentioned that you were doing more celebrity stuff. You are still doing that now, and lifestyle as well. How would you describe our showbiz industry today? Music, film, movie making, I mean all the elements, you know, to showbiz. How have we fared?
Well, I think the massive growth we are seeing is also in terms of avenues, the avenues that technology has provided, which some of us are using. It also avails itself for the arts, the entertainment sector to also use them and be seen on that sort of bigger and even often at times global sort of audience. And so that is what our entertainment is enjoying now than perhaps even before. And we have access to sophisticated equipment. If you're doing film, you have cameras that as tiny as they are could do amazing things. I'm sure those who are doing sound also, they are getting tools that make the thing very easy. I mean, I've been watching some musicians, they just travel and they're in another state, in another country, and they want to collaborate with somebody there in the hotel room. They pull out something flat, they roll it out, and they are recording. So it shows you that it's making it easy to create, and also it's also removing a lot of gatekeepers away and making your craft, your art easy to be seen. And we have to be of that mindset and grab that potential fully so that our music, our film can do better. I think currently music is what is leading, especially when you look at the Ghana film, not much is happening. So in a nutshell, that's what I would say. I think we've seen people break out from a traditional to become celebrities because an avenue like TikTok exists, Instagram exists, and so that is a new world. And you cannot even define what content is because there's somebody who just opens his arm and asks a question, he goes viral, and that's his content. I follow some Jamaicans also. Theirs is they only jump into water. And it's crazy how...
I know, right?
I'm like,
there's this guy who says he doesn't speak. he's just there, make facial, gestures.
So I'm supposed to understand what he means.
I just don't even understand. So what are we? Maybe I'm too old, So
you see why I say I won't join.
The world is changing.
People who understand.
No, but that's the thing. It allows you the freedom and the room to explore, to create, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So in the next, now there's AmeyawDebrah.com, there's Ameyaw TV. In the next 4 years, what else do you want to do?
So I want Ameyaw Debrah Media to, I keep saying this, I want it to be that well-rounded 360 digital media company. So in addition to what we are doing with video content, we also want to provide digital solutions for people in terms of handling social media for them, online promotions and things like that. So we are in that phase of setting up to meet that. And so hopefully in the next 4 years, what we'll be doing will have expanded from what it is currently.
Would you want to maybe go into lecturing people?
Well, I think opportunities have come. Actually, even my department, back in tech, they want us to do something like that. But then I've been doing it. So
yeah, what did you recently?
Recently, yes, I've been doing it. I think I was also going back until COVID came. I was going back to meet the final year student every year. I've done stuff also at GIJ. So people invite me to come and do these things, and then I go. As much as I hate speaking in public, I try my best to at least do some running commentary, and then now I like it more when they ask questions, and then I can.
If it's interactive, then you get to
then
flow.
I get to flow more.
Do you make a lot of money from this? I love money.
Well, I like to say reasonable. I think
reasonable means more.
Right now, the only place I'm not milking it is YouTube, and I want when that YouTube money comes and sinks.
That is how you say you have arrived.
I've arrived.
But what does YouTube look like? I mean, in terms of the figures on the.
So we're almost at 40,000 subscribers, and I understand that means it's a battle. Every now and then I like to ask people, why do you think our channel is, and they tell us they want the kind of content they want, and we are not so much ready for that. So we are growing it gradually for those to understand the content we are, and we understand that it will take time to build like-minded audience that works with what we want to do. But of course, we want those big numbers, we want those big revenues. Anytime that we have a video do very well, we are excited, we want more of it. But we also understand it's not always going to happen. But until we crack it, then, it becomes some sort of, is it the term residual income? So I don't want to struggle and work like a donkey, and once it kicks, it's like it's going to
relax
and make it come. So that's what I want. Currently, the website, in terms of the content, selling people buying content, that one is like the place that is working for me now. But I want the same thing to work with the YouTube, and then we are good to go.
They say you are not successful until your business gives you that money whilst you sleep. So that is when you can afford to be comfortable. Otherwise, you have to get a hustle on.
If you get to a point where 365K falls in your account and you don't know,
I'm like,
at that point you can stretch your arms like that.
And I'm like, whoa, there are some really God-fearing people in this country.
And it falls in your account, you don't know, and then you have to wait till you're filing your tax returns.
I can't even trust myself with this.
Wow.
I can't trust myself with this. I can't trust myself with that. But how important, is social media, online presence for celebrities, for businesses? How key is that?
I think we are in the time where you cannot afford not to be there. For celebrities, it gives them first and foremost that opportunity to meet and interact with their fans. And like I said, a lot of the gatekeepers are being removed. So you have your own voice. You don't have to wait for someone to tell your story right or wrong, because you know how the media works. They may misrepresent it even without meaning to. But it's just someone speaks and you think you're excited. You're like, this is what the person means. But before you know it. So it gives that sort of avenue to them. And it also now has become a second or another way for them to make revenue, because once they amass a lot of following, they can cash in, they become influencers, ambassadors, etc. And so it's also a good space to make money in addition to you being able to sell your craft and all of that. And for brands, I mean, nowadays, if I want to buy shit, I just
go online,
search Instagram, and then I see vendors. That's the kind of world we are going. And especially when artificial intelligence becomes a thing, people will be plugging into tools online, and your presence in all of that sort of helps in aggregating to that sort of economy and also that ecosystem. So as a business, you shouldn't miss out. Be everywhere, but you should also understand that every platform works differently, and you know how to use which platform to achieve what you want to achieve. So it's a must.
Have you written about yourself?
No, I haven't.
Is this something you're looking to do someday?
Yes. So I have a Nigerian publisher, writer friend who wants us to do something like that, and I think it's not a bad idea.
I think it should. You know, I've always had an issue with how people want only older people to be writing books because they feel, now what do you have that you are writing, but what's your experience? But you don't need to be 1,000 years old, you know. I mean, as you are young, you can inspire other people.
Yeah,
so
especially in a space where it's still young and it's evolving. It will be interesting.
I think you should do it. I'd love to read your book.
We're looking forward to it.
Right. Thank you very much, Ameyaw. You know how time flies and having fun. It's an awesome conversation, you know. At least I've heard some stuff, you know. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your
great time. Great stuff.
Right. So it's been amazing, you know, conversation worth having. This is the social media conversation we're having, blogging, everything online. You need it. This is where we are. You know, this is where the world is. Thank you very much for your time. My name is Prima Edunyame.
And mine is Nana Tufu. Until we see you again, be kind.